Gino.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to have you on today.
Nice to see you.
Really looking forward to everything that we are collaborating on. Over the past couple months that I've known you, it's been really fun just hanging out in your studio, getting to meet everybody.
Yeah.
And what you guys have going on obviously needs to be spoken more about, and that's why I have you on today. So why don't you start by telling everybody who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Gino DiPierro. I go by Doc G on the radio. I started this about 27 years ago, the radio station.
Quite a long time.
Yeah, it's been, it's funny because even before I go on, a lot of my friends said it's not going to go anywhere. It's really not going to go anywhere.
I hear it all the time.
And you know what that does? It propels you even more.
Tell me I can't do it.
Right, yeah. Let me show you why.
Yeah.
But no, I started this basically because of my daughters wanting to learn more music.
Yeah.
As a former musician in local bands and local, school bands and stuff like that, I said there's got to be somebody out there that wants to play more than just the 500 same songs over and over again. And my music has been varied, from the Beatles to Elvis to Frank Sinatra and all the great bands.
How could you not love all music? I mean,
some people don't.
Some people don't. I get it, but I'm one of those ones where, when it comes to music, I don't have a mean bone in my body for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because every artist has their own unique style.
Absolutely.
And however they presented the music was how I present the music.
Yeah.
I try to keep it in its original format. Trying to always keep it clean for family friendly.
Of course. But
at the same time, still giving it to everybody that really wants it in that type of dose. Meaning that if the music, if there was like an album that has a lot of bad words, I'm not going to play the album, really.
Yeah.
But I'll play cuts of it.
Yeah, that's
so I can still play around with it. Mm-hmm. So years ago when I started out, before I did this radio station, I was on the WPST, mm-hmm. and which was 101.5, which was WKXW years ago.
Remember what year that was, just for some context?
Wow.
Maybe early 2000s?
No, way before that.
Way before, so...
it was like between 77 and 80.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's really throwing it back.
Yeah, but that's the time frame.
Yeah.
My friend Bill Singer was working for WPST at the time. Mm-hmm. And let's just put it this way. Bill was a great friend of mine. He was a karate expert, and we hung around a lot. And, we used to take me to the studio. We used to talk. We used to talk to the DJs, and we just had so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then, a couple times I stood there and did some shows for him. And then I got hired, and I did it for a while. I loved it. I liked doing overnight. I didn't mind doing it. I enjoyed playing music for people and making them happy, making them call in and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's where I got the bug. And then when I got that bug, I'm like, I got to continue this. But 10 years goes by, you have kids.
Of course.
Your life goes on, and you change your path.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
So let's take a step back, because again, it's about connecting more of who you are.
I know.
So let's, before you were into radio, what were you doing?
Well, I've always been a music person. Mm-hmm. Okay, I used to play trumpet. I played a little bass guitar.
You like Herb Alpert?
Yeah, sure.
He's one of my favorite trumpeters.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And look, he formed A&M Records. You knew that, right?
Yeah,
Alpert,
yeah.
Right? A lot of people don't know that.
My dad would play him for me all the time.
Yeah, no, he was a great musician, music-wise. But that goes unsaid with a lot of the artists back in the 60s.
Of course,
You can talk about the Wrecking Crew all day long about who was in the Wrecking Crew. Just amazing musicians that formed these bass lines and song intros that we remember today. Mm-hmm. But because of them, because they were innovative and they were more motivated to make you understand certain things. It's not just the note. It's the way the note was presented.
Exactly.
It's the sound of the
context.
note. Right,
yeah.
Right. Everything around the note, the music. And it makes it so much better to know that, to me, because I'm an information guy.
Yeah.
I used to know, most of the time, the artist, the label, the song length, who was on the song, and the year it came out. Because me and my friend used to do that all the time. We say, "Oh, who did that?" And who did this and that. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like a trivia game.
Well, it was, but you got to remember, there was a lot of people around like us that knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying we were know-it-alls, but we knew a lot more about music knowledge because we were into the music, you know, looking at the album and looking at the image and, you know, looking at who was on the album and who was the extras they added and stuff like that.
Yeah, reading the back of the album cover and everything. Yeah.
I mean, one of my good friends, David Payton from Alan Parsons Project and Elton John and what else? He was from the band Pilot. He says all the time, nobody knows who he is. So the other bug in my ear was, wait a minute, how are these artists getting found out?
Yeah.
Does anybody know who they are? And the thing is still, to this day,
not really.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And they're on albums. And they should be almost like the main acts, but they're not. Nobody knows who they are. And they're still writing music and they're still playing music. And there's no place for them to put their music. They can put it on Spotify.
Well, that's kind of the darker side to the music industry, right? Is that not everybody gets the credit that they deserve.
Right.
And not always, but more often than not, and especially the older generations, for sure.
Right. Well, main media won't even give them the time of day. So they have to go out on their own. And you now know that with the music industry the way it is, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's just, if you don't do it on your own, nobody going to know about you.
Absolutely. And that's why so many artists are flocking to streaming hubs like Spotify and iHeartRadio Music and all of them, really.
But it does have its downside. And,
of course, yeah.
And the downside is, of course, if the person doesn't have that app, they don't hear you.
Yeah.
And if the person doesn't have you in their playlist, they don't hear you.
Yeah.
But with us, our format, the way we designed it, was it's all variety format, but includes all these artists.
And by you mean Hamilton Radio.
Hamilton Radio, HamiltonRadio.net, right?
Yeah.
The thing that originally wasn't HamiltonRadio.net, it was originally called Feel Good Music.
Okay.
Because it just made you feel good.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the inception and idea behind Hamilton Radio. Because this is, I think, one of the biggest resources that our town has currently. And again, much like you're saying, these musicians aren't really aware that it's here. A lot of people aren't aware that you guys have such a extremely broad community development forum right now.
There's so many ways I can go on this. Well, first of all,
let's capture them all today.
Let's do that. All right, the inception of Hamilton Radio was like feel good music, and feel good music stemmed from all the songs that I grew up in the '60s and '70s, '80s. Added with that a lot of the independent artists that, like I said, David Payton and different people, but also local artists that you would hear in a bar or a restaurant or a pub or whatever, and they would have no way for the music to get out. So what happened was they would contact me, my email, and they would say, "Can you play my music?" And I would listen to them and say, "Damn, this is good.
Yeah,
this is almost like professional." And it's like they did it, whatever studio they did it, but the music was still good. And I'm like, this should be played. So we started playing it, and we just started growing from that, because main media would only play the main media artists. It wouldn't play any of the offshoots, even though they were from the same bands. That's the sad part about it.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate part of kind of music culture around here too. It seems like a lot of the places to play live only want people to play covers of songs that have already happened, rather than and popular covers, not like any cover they want. Like, it's almost like there's specific set lists where you won't be even invited back unless you're playing this certain sect of music.
Well, there's a reason for that, and I'll put it this way, and this is why my station was formed. When you go to a bar and you hear a song that you start singing it, you like it, you enjoy it. Now the artist starts playing songs you don't know. It
makes sense.
And you start losing people.
Yeah.
But if you play more of the songs that people know, obviously the band is going to,
of course,
be liked more.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for playing that song, or request or whatever. So the reason why my station was formed is because it tries to cover all the aspects of that. Playing the music that is played live.
Yeah.
And not only that, but of course rarities and different things that we do. I do mini concerts, I do tributes, I do so many other things that radio stations out there should do, but can't do because of time limits.
Yeah.
So we compromise with that. We say, okay, fine, we'll compromise our time. I'll give a person, say, DJ for a day. I've done that in the past. They'd send 100 songs in, or they had a birthday. And they said, I want to celebrate my birthday at work. But unfortunately, there was no Spotify back then.
Yeah, of course.
And they couldn't play all their songs. And sometimes bosses don't want you to play their songs because of, content.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're going to hear next. My station was the opposite. We were played on everybody's. We were played in local state offices here in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania. People would contact me.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So again, the growth of it depended on the people listening, not just me playing music.
Yeah. And when was the original station formed? Just curious.
I believe it was 1995, 96.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So as it turned into HamiltonRadio.net, what kind of artists were you working with? Anybody that you want to give a shout out to who's a local community in the local community? Yeah,
I would say Hamilton, Ewing, all the local communities. I was in all the bars.
Did you ever have
bands?
El Kabong on, or?
See, a lot of the local bands, for some reason, went on other stations. They didn't want to come on ours, and that's fine. I don't.
Yeah, no, just asking.
No, and
that's like one of the biggest bands.
Yeah, I like El Kabong.
Yeah,
and I love some of the people that in the bands. But again, it's their preference.
Yeah,
I can ask them. I reached out to some bands.
Mm-hmm.
Some bands found me. And how they found me? Because people heard me playing the music.
Yeah.
And they said, "Wow, you're playing our music." I said, "Yeah, of course I am." Well, is there any way we can do an interview? Absolutely. That's how a lot of my friendships started in the early 90s with a lot of the bands, because they would reach out to me and say, "Thank you for playing our music." But see, we're not the kind of radio station that only plays one or two songs.
Yeah.
We try to play more of the artist so people can hear, say if the fan club is listening.
Yeah.
Say there's 3,500 people in the fan club.
You say you even like to have concert nights and stuff.
Yeah.
So that leaves a lot of, opportunity for them to show their whole portfolio rather than, having one or two songs, a quick interview, and then you're out.
Right. No, but I'm saying the reason why how the radio got bigger was because of the fan bases that would come from these artists would listen. They would request them. The more they would request them, the more they would be heard.
Yeah.
So my suggestion always to the artists was send your fan club to us. They can go to other radio stations. That's fine. I don't care. But have them request the music and sit back and listen.
Yeah.
And they would sit back and listen and say, "Wow, I really love the other music that I'm hearing with my artist." Doesn't matter if it's country, doesn't matter if it's rock, doesn't matter if it's oldies. None of that matters, but it's the playlist, the way it's assembled. And the way we try to do it, I'd say back in the early 90s, I had over 90,000 artists and tracks. There was no way I could play the same songs or artists over and over again.
Absolutely. It'd take years.
Yeah, but that's the best part about it, because it's always constantly changing. It's always fresh. It's always new. And it gives something for everybody every day. So you never have to hear the same stuff. Plus I do shows, a lot of shows that we have on. But going back to the artist is the main extreme why people love us, because it's within that playlist of all the main media stuff that we also pop them in and out.
Yeah. And so when did it switch from the music side to where you started to adding talk shows and like Tracy, who originally connected us, who's in my business network? When did that kind of flip flop to the opportunity for more creatives rather than musicians to start to add in?
Well, see, we never took that element out. I never took one element out.
Gotcha.
See, I'm going by my friends at all the other radio stations like WYSP, WMMR, PST, and 101.5.
And another thing I just want to point out is that New Jersey's radio culture through the last 3 decades has been extremely prevalent.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing, too. And here they said the internet would never go nowhere. So I'm sitting back and laughing. I'm like, really? It's not going to go anywhere? I was worldwide. I was worldwide before everybody was any worldwide.
Absolutely.
So you build up a lot of credibility. But the thing is with that is the artists that are played on these stations, and just take 101.5, for example. There's a lot of talk during the day, and then they go to music during the weekend. Well, we're music all day long. We go to talk at night. So we do the opposite.
It's convenient.
But not always talk.
Yeah.
There's different nights that has different shows on in the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, even your daughter now has
Yeah.
a very cultivated and wonderful podcast that I'm even starting to watch now, and
Oh, thank
she's following in your footsteps, bringing on musicians and everything. So you must be extremely proud of her.
Well, I'm extremely proud of everybody, not just her, but everybody on the radio station. Years ago, I had somebody come up to me and said, well, I want to be on another radio station. I said, sure, that's no problem. I don't have a problem with you being on another radio station because as long as you can, promote your show is on our station.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. And some want to block it out. That's fine. That's on them. But the point is, why would you want to block something out that's successful and try to make it even more successful? So I seen that. I don't look at it like, okay, go, you can go there, not here. Stay here. And go there too.
And I also love the idea that you aren't worried about competition. It's very
There
obvious.
is no competition.
There is no competition, and that's another principle of my businesses as well. Is we don't look at anybody as competition. We will happily work in conjunction with any and everyone.
Yes.
Because that's what's going to build a community.
And that's been my philosophy over the years.
Yeah.
Is just be a good business person, be a good community person, and try to work within the realm of what you have.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have met you and Rueben, and I can't wait to continue to see what we create together.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate that. We also did years ago. I was working with Glenn Gilmore, who was the mayor of Hamilton. I reached out to Glenn, and Glenn said, yes, we would love to do what you want to do. And I said, I would want to record all the meetings for the public to hear.
Yeah.
Some people can't make it, some people work.
You were telling me about this. Yeah.
So with that said, I mean, we wanted to not only be the radio station for New Jersey, but Hamilton itself, the community of Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody doing it. We weren't getting any money for it. We did it out of the kindness of our hearts, which you should do anyway. But you're helping the community in so many ways.
Yeah.
And of course, by doing that, you get more notoriety.
When you give, you will always receive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another philosophy of mine. But learning from that and doing them things, that's exactly what we try to do. We try to reach out and give more each time we do something.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, look at where you're at now. You're about to start networking with national multimedia organizations.
I know.
It's a huge step forward. I can't wait to back you on this. I'm honored to, again, work with you guys, and so happy that I met Tracy and all of you. So I kind of want to get into, you had this incredibly diverse period where you had a huge wave of people, and then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about like the process of like your peak, and then with that coming in, and where we're at now and how we're trying to rebuild from that?
Right. I think the biggest thing is the pandemic hit everybody hard.
Absolutely. Myself included.
Yeah. And the thing is, we didn't really have a showplace. We didn't have a place where people had to worry about anybody coming in, but they still worried and didn't want to come in. Mm-hmm. So we did lose a lot of radio shows because people want to do it at home. I invested in Zoom probably or maybe 10 years before that happened, and Zoom was going nowhere. After the pandemic, everybody had Zoom.
Yeah.
And everybody was Zooming. I'm like, okay, well then, that's fine. But you learn from your mistakes, but you try to also learn to hang in there. Mm-hmm. I come from a business environment where my all my relatives had restaurants in Chambersburg here in New Jersey, in Trenton. And each one of them, was successful, but there was also a time to terminate. So it was a limited success. But I also learned from that. I seen the things that they did do, by hiring partners they didn't really know, mm-hmm. and to somebody dissolving their organization because they were taking advantage of them. So I tried to find myself a good partner. That's why Rueben and I have been friends for a long time now.
We had a long talk about that today,
right? For
sure.
And he told you how we met through the film shoot, right?
Yep.
And that's who I am. That's the way I am. I'll offer myself to anybody at any time if I have the availability, if I have the equipment, if I have the knowledge. I'll be more than glad to work with anybody, anytime, for anything. And that's any project or anything. But it doesn't mean that there's not a cost. It doesn't mean that there's not a price. Of course, the price is, I give my time, I give all my energy and stuff like that. But there's always an outcome. There's a suspected outcome.
I mean, even if you don't necessarily profit off of it, it's the learning experience that you're paying or that you're receiving. It's the connections that you could potentially meet. You might go and work with one person and they might have 3 other people, and then you meet an audio engineer or something that you could fit into your own puzzle. Right. And that's the benefactor at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm local, so I used to work for TKR, which is the Cablevision at the time, and I used to do sports videos. We did sports videos. I worked camera, worked the mixer, and just learned. You learn from everything you do. It wasn't that they were paying you, but they paid you in knowledge.
Of course.
And sometimes that's even better because you can take that knowledge and use it as you go forward.
Look at what you've created to date, and that's a perfect example.
Yeah, that is true. It is true. And if you look at it that way, it's really not a waste of time.
Absolutely not. And, I see the shows that you have on. They're great. I mean, I love Tracy's show. It's very family-friendly, homey. Right. Your daughter's show, again, the diversity is what sticks out to me the most. And she's another steeple in the community organization side that we need more of, period. This is why I'm trying to create my podcast as well. So moving forward, what's the next year looking like for you? What's the next 5 years looking for? Like, do you have a set goal for everything, or where are we at now with this whole process?
Well, as you know, I was also a motivational speaker. I try to look at things in a whole like that, but short, small, specs, just like you said. Where are you going to be in a year? I expect to be in a year nationally known, which I am now, but more nationally known as far as just a radio station now, more than a radio station, because I don't know if you know it, I don't know if I told you this, but we were on the FM radio guide. We beat all the FM radio stations in New Jersey. That's including the Clear Channel ones.
I remember you telling me. Yeah, no.
And that's been 11 years.
Yeah.
And we've been way out there before 11 years. We've been out there, since, like I said, 95, 96, when I started this. We didn't switch to Hamilton radio for probably about 10 years.
Okay.
So it's roughly a new station, but it's not. People know it from the things that we've done.
Yeah, of course.
And we also hosted a police academy. The movies, when one of the people died, I think, I forget her name, but she was...
the African-American cop?
Yeah.
I remember here talking about, but...
I can't think of her name. Marion something, I think her name. Marion Ramsey.
Yeah. R.I.P.
And my friend asked me, she said, can you host a tribute to her? So we did that, and I was glad to do it. So we were never afraid to do things that other people won't do.
Absolutely.
We aired it on the radio. We put it, live on Zoom. We put it live on YouTube, gave it to her, and, Michael Winslow was there, and everybody that was, Steve Gutenberg, and it was just a nice thing to do. And that's what we try to do, a nice thing to do. So I always see us as propelling further and further into that realm and trying to make it happen. We adopted many different programs. We're getting all new programs soon. And that doesn't mean the old programs are going away.
Yeah,
it's like the productions, for some reason, productions are a big moneymaker.
Yeah.
Shows, anybody can do a show at home.
Yeah.
So,
here we are.
but this is my point. See, what we used to do, we have to change. Because if we follow the same suit, we're not going to make it.
It's something me and Ruben were also talking about, is optimizing to the current condition rather than doing what you know or think is the best. So for someone that would like to start listening to your radio stations, could you tell them a couple of your top programs that you're currently hosting right now?
The number one program I still have is probably the Jimmy Deal Show.
Okay. What's he talk about?
I host that with Jimmy. Jimmy talks to celebrities. He talks to sports athletes. But Jimmy has a varied career. He was going to be with Howard Stern for a while. He turned that down.
Wow.
He didn't know how big Howard Stern was going to be. And he went to WPLJ Radio. He was a DJ. Scott Shannon and all the people in New York, all his friends. But he was also on Lifestyles of Rich and Famous with Robin Leach.
Oh, wow.
And he knows pretty much everybody in the industry.
That's a wonderful person to have.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy, and he really appreciates what we do for, what we try to do for him at Hamilton Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And, he, the shows are really, really good. We get a lot of great people, a lot of Elvis people, and a lot of actors and movie actors, either, when they're older or when they're younger. We had so many people and coming on. It's just, there's a whole gamut of people. They're all on YouTube. A lot of them are on hard drive too. I got to put some more on YouTube, the older ones.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with me is I don't shoot a live podcast, so editing for me just tears me up some weeks when I shoot 3 or 4 during the week.
See, that's the other consideration I have too. If we do a good live, there's no editing needed. If there's a little bit of editing needed, maybe it'd be at the beginning or at the end, so it's a lot easier. Whereas if you have to edit a whole bunch of stuff out of here because of phone calls and this, it just makes it hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely considering getting some interns this summer to work or because I have my LLC, so I might as well,
Yeah.
Anybody that's interested in videography and audiography, I could probably show them a thing or two, and then write them a nice letter of recommendation.
Yeah.
But so I also hear that one of our past guests, Gil, might be hosting a podcast.
Yeah, Gil, super nice guy.
An incredible gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love, and we talked about this too, you and I. I would love to do something with him. It's just got to find a day and time for him that works and day and time for me that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually going to be at your meeting with him, so we can all talk.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. And he's very interested in the subject, and I know the only hitch was in a year he might be relocating. If not, there's no problem.
Yeah, Zoom.
I was about to say there could be a clause where I take over for that period of time until you find your next person to host.
Or you can do Zoom.
Yeah, that works too.
I mean, listen, we're very, very open to situations that, people have to leave because of spouses or they have to leave because of whatever life happens. Mm-hmm. And we're always open to that. That's not a problem to us. We allow that and we understand that. I had a friend that just asked me today, she said, will you be able to play videos? I said, yes, we can play videos, but Zoom's going to block them.
Yeah.
But if we play them through the software, like the vMix software, it's not going to get blocked.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we're the ones we're putting it out there on the software as an extra added, I forget what they call it, but it's on the software as an extra added item. So they allow the music to go through and the video, and of course it's on YouTube.
Probably a copyright protection clause.
It's something like that. Yeah. StreamYard does it. Zoom does it.
I believe OBS Studios does it too. That's what I use when I live stream.
Okay, OBS.
Yeah.
We were going to do OBS, but we thought vMix was a little bit better and a little bit more because that's free. That's free.
Whatever works for you, right?
Yeah. That's what I say. Whatever works.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. But, back to the music. I mean, listen, we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, really not.
To each their own at the end of the day.
But for the musician and some of my friends that are musicians, they said, I can't believe the music that I'm hearing on there, the sounds, the songs. And, we have a request and dedication page. It's right in the front there. You just scroll down and request and dedicate anything you want. And we'll play it for you, and also play it for the artists as well, if the artist asks us to do it.
Awesome.
But we do a lot more than the average radio station.
Yeah.
We have celebrities and artists that come into our station, and they said, we don't feel rushed, which is we don't want them to feel rushed.
Of course, yeah.
But in the setting of a rigid timed radio station that has to do the weather and has to do the news and all that. We don't have that.
Exactly.
So that makes us much more comfortable and relaxed, and they feel comfortable coming to us. So whether they're recording an audio book or if they're recording music, we're doing a lot of that stuff too on the side, which actually makes us even a better radio station because we have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And we're just always kind of looking at ourselves and trying how to reinvent what we already do.
And you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
My next question is
Sure.
what tips would you give someone who's interested in maybe getting into radio broadcasting? Maybe they're a college student and they want to do what you're doing. What tips could you give an up-and-coming person?
Well, the first tip is never give up.
Absolutely.
The second tip is you're going to have to it's probably going to be a little bit more either expensive or intense work than you think it is.
Yeah.
Even setting up things, there's a little bit of time. But once it's set up and once it's in that environment, there's really, I hate to say it this way, but there's really no other cost unless you're in a studio level.
Yeah.
Because originally I used to do interviews and shows in my house.
Yeah.
Just like this.
Ruben was telling me, you even had the one single mic that you would pass back and forth. Yeah.
Well, that was at a school.
Yeah.
But when my girls were growing up, that's what I did. My wife didn't want people in the bathroom because she didn't know, and my girls were young. And it's understandable. You want people to have their privacy and while you maintain your family's privacy. So I think it's just, you have to look at it as a person outside, just like you said, having somebody that wants to do their own radio show, just go for it. If they contact me, I'll give them tips. I'll give them kind of things. I'm venturing out to another thing right now called Financial Coach.
Yeah.
Remember I told you?
Yep.
My website's almost done. And that right now, guys, there's no financial coaches right here.
I'm one, actually. But
Well, you are.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, when you Google something, there's not a lot of financial coaches.
No, they won't pop up. Yeah.
So our thing is we're trying to fill that niche.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, I hope you get clients too. People need the help. I'm glad you are because I know you're an honest guy and I know I am. So if you reach out to people like you and I, you're going to get honest answers.
Yeah.
You're not going to get BS.
No.
And if you either want to work with us or you don't want to work with us, that's your option.
Yep.
You can either stay where you're at and try to keep spinning your wheels or kind of get out of where you are, try to get a little bit debt-free and feel better about yourself.
Absolutely.
And then have the money to finance and do what you want to do. And that's where, I get involved with financial investing. Not every, and Bitcoin. Not everybody understands it.
Yeah. And I always tell people this cryptocurrency is not for everyone.
It's not.
It's definitely not for everyone, for sure.
I used to be a day trader.
I still am, yeah.
But I used to do that.
Yeah.
And the software that I used to use was called WiseTrade. Do you remember WiseTrade?
Yep. And
WiseTrade would tell you when to get in, when to get out, look for the lights and in and out. And I used to listen to AM radio all the time and listen to the, I forget who it was, but there was a couple different guys I listened to that were financial guys. They would tell you what stocks to look for. So you go out and you look for the stock, and you look at the light and you see what I made money in AOL, I made money in Disney.
It wasn't Jim Cramer, was it?
I was not Jim Cramer.
No. I'm just making a joke.
Jim Cramer was on MSNBC.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing around.
No, but it was, anyway, they were great guys. But they were very, very financial oriented.
Yeah.
And if you listen to it, you would understand.
And they tracked the markets.
They tracked the markets. Yeah. They actually did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you didn't have the time because I was working all the time. So what I would do was just play the markets a little bit. But the problem with day trading back then was you're so nervous and worried if you're going to lose money or if it's going to be a short.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So I just...
Gotta love the short squeezes.
I got out of it for a while.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of our main principles with the podcast is financial education for kids and then financial literacy for adults.
Right.
That I can't thank you enough to have another variable stepping into the Hamilton space because there is such little involvement with the school systems or, interpersonally. And that's the whole other thing that we're trying to get implemented is a mandatory curriculum for all Hamilton public schools.
Oh, nice.
That's an uphill battle, but one that we're absolutely willing to fight for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to help the kids, anything to help the parents, anything, to ease off on the property taxes for everybody, because, everything else is just killing us.
Yeah, and we're, probably going to go into an economic recession soon. Me and Rueben were also talking about that. Next couple of years, you're definitely going to have to save some money. But other than that, it's, again, just being financially literate will help you so much moving forward over the next couple of years with what's to come. But back to the radio side.
Yeah, I know we offshoots.
Yeah, no, it's completely fine. Who are some other people that you have on your station currently? So you have with Tracy and Friends, your talk show with your partner
Jimmy Deal.
Yeah, your
I do
daughters.
Doc G Presents every now and then. I just had a friend reach out to me. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of celebrity contacts, and they have new albums, and he reaches out to me and says, "Hey, would you like to interview this artist?" And I said, "Sure." Just I give everybody open opportunities.
Yeah.
We have the Jerry Petito show. We have Sue Bloom's show. Sue Bloom and Famous show. We have Frank Todd overnight. He does Frank Todd's top 20. He picks years and just goes through the years. So overnight,
Awesome.
from 12 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock in the morning, it's nothing but oldies, from all different years. It could be the 70s, it could be the 80s, it could be themes, whatever. It's one of the top rated shows.
Yeah, and again, it speaks to the diversity of your channel as well. You won't hear a lot of that with any other radio station.
That's the other thing. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, whether you're on XM, AM, or satellite, that kind of diversity isn't heard of in radio, which is why you guys are special.
Well, I think if you listen, I was listening yesterday, the other day, to a friend of mine told me to listen to The Bridge on XM. And it's very similar to what we play, but it still doesn't even come close.
And they still have traffic updates and weather and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And they limit requests. I don't think you can request on there.
Oh, yeah. So you're
and ours is free.
Well, that's the other thing is, so you can request it anytime as long as
sure.
you guys are streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really convenient.
Well, I have the app, so I can actually go into the app. Any requests I get, I can pop it on.
Oh, that's great.
As long as there's no shows.
I always forget how easy technology makes.
Oh yeah,
everything.
it makes it easy.
Yeah. So my final question is what do you think about the network that I'm building with Tracy and all of our friends, Gil and everybody that I've been sending to you guys? I mean, do you think, just your thoughts? My
thoughts on it, I listen, again, I welcome things like this. This is a chance to me of a lifetime to say no, people, is, why? Why would you say no to somebody that's trying to make it themselves bigger or make their organization bigger while they're trying to help you? It's funny. Years ago, and it was happened not too long ago, but years ago it did happen. I had an artist reach out to me and said, "You're playing me too much." And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, right?
I thought you wanted to be played. But what then I found out was a friend of his had a radio station. So all his friends were tuning in to me. And by him saying we were playing him too much, the people loved it. They loved it. But his friend got mad because he lost all the listeners and then got to me.
That's another problem with business that you could get into for sure.
So that was a problem. And then I said, okay, don't worry about it. And so I stopped playing them. So, if you think that I'm playing you too much, that must be a good thing. That means people are requesting you to be heard. And that's a good thing because now everybody that tunes in at a different day or time will get to hear your band or your music.
Absolutely.
So I don't see anything bad about that.
Yeah, no. It's
great exposure.
Yeah, do you like overexposure, but again, I don't really see that. I mean, I doubt you're playing like 3 tracks in a row and then another 3 tracks later or anything like that.
No, when they met, I was playing them too much through the day. I may have played them the radio station they were referring to played them twice that day.
Okay.
I was watching, and when I looked at my playlist, I played them close to 27 times
In one day?
one day.
Yeah, I could see the difference between
But it's all different times. It's like maybe 2 songs in the morning,
Yeah.
2 songs mid-afternoon, and then maybe another 5 or 10 at the night, through, a couple different hours. Maybe like 4 or 5 hours, another 3 songs, maybe another 5 hours, another 3 songs.
Yeah, and just to Iron Man that, I mean, you are a local community broadcasting station, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense to support the local artists.
But then I would get emails saying, wow, that artist is great. That's a great new artist. And then we got involved in music videos, which was even better because bands reach out to me and say, hey, can you do a music video? Sure, I'd love to do a music video. And me and Rueben would get together and we'd write the storyline up, or he'd write the storyline up. We'd set the thing up and do the music. And some of these artists were just incredible. Like, it sounded like made media. They were just great songwriters, great music. And great composers, and the artists, and the song was great, and it had a following. So it's not even the following that we wanted; it was just the music we were going after.
Yeah.
Because I told them, I said, don't worry about your following now. By the time we start playing you, your following is going to be everywhere, and it was.
That's what you like to hear as a musician.
I mean, considering that there's so many places to put artists now, not everybody is everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's just spread out everywhere. But when you put them in one significant place, and you tell people they're at that one significant place, people will stay at the significant place.
Absolutely.
I have people from the early 90s that still listen to us.
That's great to hear. I mean, again, it speaks to how well you're organizing this radio station and also the quality of content that you're displaying on
Sure.
it. So, for everybody that would like to hear, where can they find you at?
Well, we're at HamiltonRadio.net on the web, but if you want to listen to us on TuneIn, we're Hamilton Radio Oldies. We're also on iHeartRadio under Hamilton Radio Oldies, Live 365 under Hamilton Radio Oldies, and just varied places.
We'll have all the
radio
links.
guides and stuff like that.
We'll have all the links in the description so that you can find them easily. But Gino, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
I would love to have you back on too, as I told Rueben as well. And again, I can't wait to see what we create together.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, thanks. Cut.
Thank you.
All right, we're set.
Okay.